Hello everyone, and welcome back to PickleFlick. And welcome back to the RX 9060 XT Tested, the series where I test games on the RX 9060 XT and find the best settings for performance and visual quality. And today is the turn of Spider-Man 2. So let's get swinging. Starting at 1080p high, the game felt smooth and responsive and looked great overall. Swinging through the city felt fluid, combat was responsive, and I didn't encounter any major issues during testing. While web swinging, I saw frame rates ranging from the low 40s to high 80s, while roof traversal ranged from the low 60s to the high 90s, and when you're walking around they range between the low 60s and the mid 70s, and combat ranged from the mid 60s to the high 70s. So overall this did deliver a very enjoyable experience. Next up is 1080p very high. The game continued to feel responsive, but I struggled to see much visual difference between high and very high during normal gameplay. There were some small improvements to lighting and overall image quality, but nothing that significantly changed the experience. Web swinging ranged from the mid 50s to the low 70s, while going across the rooftops was in between the mid 50s to the mid 70s, and again while you're having a wander around the city, this ranged between the high 50s to the mid 70s, and combat ranged from the low 60s to the high 70s. Personally, I'd stick with the higher settings here, and then I moved on to 1440p on high. The increase in resolution was immediately noticeable. The game looked a lot sharper, particularly when looking at distant buildings and city detail. Performance remained solid throughout testing and gameplay continued to feel responsive. While swinging through the city, they ranged from the high 40s to the mid 60s. Going across the rooftops again ranged from the low 60s to the mid 70s. And again while wandering around on foot, they ranged between the low 60s and the low 70s. And combat ranged from the low 60s to the low 70s. If you prefer a sharper image and don't mind sacrificing a little bit of performance, this is definitely a good option. Finally, 1440p very high. This is one setting where I noticed a more visual difference. Lighting looked better and some scenes appeared a little more impressive visually. However, the performance drop was noticeable. Web swinging dropped down to the low 40s to the mid 60s. Going across the rooftops ranged between the mid 40s to the high 60s, and while you're having your wander, they were in the low 40s to the low 60s. And combat ranged between the low 60s to the low 70s. While the visual improvements were nice, I don't think they're worth the performance loss. And then of course, I had to test ray tracing on very high. Unfortunately, just like Cyberpunk, this turned into a slideshow. Frame rates were typically between 2 and 10 FPS, making the game effectively unplayable. This game became extremely sluggish and I wasn't able to perform meaningful testing with ray tracing. So let's break down the Pickle score. Gameplay experience gets a 5 out of 5. Spider-Man 2 felt smooth, responsive and enjoyable throughout testing, with web swinging and combat remaining fun across all non-ray trace settings. Performance gets a 4 out of 5. The game performed very well at 1080p high and remained enjoyable at 1440p high. However, higher settings and ray tracing introduced significant performance penalties. Visual quality gets 5 out of 5. Spider-Man 2 looks absolutely fantastic, with detailed environments, impressive cityscapes and excellent character models. Even at higher settings the game looks great. The optimization score is a 4 out of 5. The game scales well across all different settings and resolutions, although ray tracing remains far too demanding for the RX 9060 XT. So what is the final pickle score? Spider-Man 2 earns a crunchy pickle, again 4 out of 5. The game looks fantastic, feels great to play and delivers a strong overall experience on the RX 9060 XT. Higher settings provide an excellent balance between visual quality and performance. My recommended setting is 1080p high, which provides the smoothest and most consistent experience while still looking fantastic. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and let me know in the comments what game you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next episode of RX 9060 Tested.